All right, today we're going to learn a movement in exhibition order arms. It's one of those solid foundational things, kind of one of those things that everyone should learn how to do. So the order arms that we're going to learn for exhibition drill looks like this. Right? And we're going to break down kind of the mechanics so we understand not only how to do the move step by step, but what am I doing with my hand and my wrist and my arm that makes this motion happen. So before we even dive into breaking it down, let's talk about what's happening. Go ahead and hold your rifle, let's say in exhibition port arms. Take your top hand, your right hand, and simply just go ahead and using both hands, I want you to turn the rifle so that the sling is turning forward to our right side, and I want you to move the sling just kind of through your fingers and through your hands until it's facing not to our left, but directly in front of us. So that works? So we're moving in an outward direction. If you were looking from the top down, that would be a clockwise direction of the rifle. And again, all we're doing, just kind of handing through our hands, boom. So that's what's about to happen with the rifle. That's the direction it's going. Now, let's talk about how we achieve that motion. So what I want you to do is just kind of make a blade hand, not a whole lot of tension in your hand, nice and loose. And I want you to point your palm towards you. And then I want you to open up and point the palm towards the front. Now you notice if I keep my elbow in place and I don't involve the rest of my arm, my range of motion is pretty limited, pointing to myself, pointing away from myself. So now I want us to involve the elbow a little bit. What I want us to do is I want us to allow the turning, the bend of the wrist towards our body to take our elbow a little bit away from the body. And you can see when you do that, your range of motion opens up. You can now take a little bit more drastic of a point. The palm of the hands now may be facing towards my armpit instead of just towards my chest. And then when we open up, take the elbow closer, and I can get my palm facing to the front a little bit more effectively. So again, here. Just gonna work that motion. Boom. This is the motion that we're gonna be using to cause the rifle to turn to the right and do our actual corkscrew spin, right? So to practice this, again, we're not even gonna worry about doing it the correct way yet. I just want us to understand what's happening and how it's happening. Go ahead and hold your rifle at balance point 1, sling to the left, kind of like a modified regulation port. I'm pretty loose. Take the palm of your hand, place it on the front of the rifle, somewhere on the sling area between the sling swivel and my hand. Then, my thumb is going to go to the right side of the rifle, so it kind of wraps around, and my fingers, the middle of my fingers are going to be on the sling. My fingertips are going to wrap to the back of the sling. So we have 360-degree contact. We have the front of the rifle as the palm, the middle of my fingers is the sling, and my fingertips are around the back of the rifle. My thumb is on the side and on the back. So we have a good grip. Now, we're going to use that same motion. We're going to keep my fingers curled while we do it, and watch what happens. Right? I can give it a little toss in the air. I can go real slow. Ooh. Now, the key here is that we need to leave the fingers curled as we perform that same kind of action. So notice my elbow's away from the body now. And when I go to flick my wrist to face forward, I keep my hand in this position, and I allow my elbow to come in towards my body and my wrist to point out. And as a result, the rifle kind of just wants to corkscrew in my hand. If I let go too soon and I don't use that follow-through motion, it's probably only going to go a little bit. If I use a lot of force by pulling my elbow in, I can probably make it spin a lot of it, right? So we have the ability to control those variables. Once we have an understanding of that mechanic, now we can go and learn the correct positioning to perform this move. So the first thing we are going to do is start at the exhibition port arms position. We are going to, instead of just grabbing anywhere, we're going to grab just above the band for the sling, palm on the front, fingers on the side, fingertips on the rear, and thumb along the side, then pull to the back. And we're going to use that same outboard motion. And notice my elbow is tight to the rifle because it's pulled away. We're going to use that same outboard motion to perform the flick and the roll from that position. Now, what do we want? We want one spin and then a quarter of a spin. So we want to go from having our sling facing to the left to having our sling face to the front, right? 1, 2. We want to, at the same time, move the rifle from being directly centered on our body to being centered over the right shoulder. So when we do this, our hands are going to move to the side as if they're on a tabletop, right? We're going to have them slide over to move the rifle into position right here. Here, push across. Notice, it's like we're moving on a tabletop surface. We can't let the rifle drop, and we can't let the rifle raise up, we want it to move laterally straight to the right. So we have grab, 360 grab. We have pull outward and push over, sling us to the front, and from here, we're going to slam the rifle. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now, where we grab and how we slam, check out the video on how to properly slam the rifle so that we're not injuring ourselves and we're not doing something that might cause some damage to our wrist. That's going to be something that you adjust inside of this twisting count. If you're a little bit taller, we may need to choke up, right? We need to make that adjustment inside that second count. So once again, the move is grab, twist, slam. And that's your exhibition, order arms.